So my name is Donald Thompson, and I'm here today to get a chance to spend some time with you, and we're going to talk about your authentic voice in social media. And as a business owner, what I typically like to do when I chat with folks, one, I'll give a little background on myself just to relax, and then we'll be talking more as friends versus just some kind of canned speech or presentation. I've got a couple of slides to go over with you, some thoughts and different things, but more important, it's an opportunity for you guys to interact, ask questions, things of that nature. But what I'll tell you is, all right, why should you listen to me, right? And so I'll give you a couple of reasons in the marketing space that I think I can be helpful and have been helpful with people that are growing their business or thinking about starting a new business. Currently, I'm the CEO of Walk West. It's a digital media firm out of Raleigh, North Carolina. And one of the reasons that I'm here today is I think, quite frankly, everybody deserves great marketing for their business, their goal, and their dreams. And so while as a consultancy, we work with companies both large and small, as a part of my give back and as a part of what I think is my responsibility for the benefits that I have is to share with people that are at different stages of growing their companies and share some of the lessons learned. A little bit about Walk West. In 2015, our firm, when I invested in the company, we had two people, Brian and Oreo, our founder, and one designer. Now we have over 40 folks. We grew from a couple $100,000 business to a multi-million-dollar business. We're the marketing agency of record for North Carolina State University. We work with the schools at Duke University. When you see anything related to the media, to the advertising, to the flyers, to the billboards for the North Carolina State Fair, that's our firm that is helping the North Carolina State Fair with their marketing. One of the things that we've learned in terms of helping people achieve their marketing goals is it's always good to start with a good foundation of both education of what tools are available for them, and most importantly, understanding what someone wants to achieve, right? Because if you don't know what somebody wants to achieve in business and in marketing, you can't really prescribe to them what they should do and how they should use all the different tools and techniques. Right? If you are very, very focused at attracting a business community, a business audience, there's a vast difference between your communication channel between Facebook and LinkedIn, right? If your business is very visual, then maybe Instagram. So those are some of the tools and techniques. But beyond any of that, a lot of universities are trying to attract more students. That's a different story than if a university is trying to grow their ranking, right, in terms of best universities in the world. If you are starting a brand new business and you don't really have credibility and case studies in the marketplace, then your marketing really has to be more about proof points in terms of why people should listen to you, why people should trust you. And so back to the education, we talk to entrepreneurs about things they can do, but we do spend a lot of time in that initial process of understanding what they want to learn and then what they ultimately want to achieve. And so I'll bounce back and forth with a couple of items, but we'll have a little fun and we'll talk marketing. So back to why you should listen to me. I am either involved in as an operator or invested in as an angel investor and entrepreneur. Close to 10 companies. I've got a couple of them up here that I'll show. ICI Digital is one of the larger firms that we just sold in 2017 to a company called Behringer Capital. They own Adweek, so if you're in the marketing and advertising space, you know those guys. And so we worked on, with ICI Digital, the back-end infrastructure of the technology to drive very, very large websites. So if you go to a Hertz Rent-A-Car, if you go to a Food Lion website, if you go to a Panera Bread website, these are very, very large sites that have millions upon millions of transactions every day. And so we work with the back-end technology to do that with ICI Digital, and that's run by a good friend of mine, Greg Boone. I happen to be chairman of the board of that company for a little while. If you think about Inflow is a small startup company that does accounting and back-end payroll software for hoteliers. And so it's a very niche market. It's high-end technology, but it's very, very focused on the hospitality industry. And have some fun with that. Grippers is a brand new startup. Two former NC State football players created basically an adhesive replacement for tape and gloves on your fingers so you can get better grip on the ball, whether it's basketball or football, but you also protect your joints. And they worked in combination with the NC State textile school and created a really phenomenal product. And they're now in Academy Sports. They're in conversations with some of the largest retailers in the world to promote that product. The reason I talked to you, Spoke Hub, I'll talk to you about it in a minute. That's a private social network. So if you think about Facebook, Instagram, think about being able to have a private social network specifically branded for your company, where you own the data. And that's what we're creating with Spoke Hub. I mentioned these companies not so much about all that I'm doing or into, but I have the ability to understand markets and marketing, whether it's a startup, whether it's a large company, whether you're an independent solo entrepreneur. And so that's the perspective that I can come from in terms of having touched a lot of different businesses. And the storytelling and the messaging are similar and specific, but some of the fundamentals are very much the same. So in any business, what we're trying to do is connect with people. And there's a couple things you have to do in connecting with people in an engaging way. And this is independent if we're meeting one-on-one over a cup of coffee, if I'm doing a presentation with you like I am today, if you're meeting me or a company that I represent on social media. There's only a couple things that have to be done, but if you don't do these things, you're not going to be as successful as a marketer and entrepreneur. So number one is you got to get somebody's attention. Right? There's a lot of great businesses that people don't know about. So therefore, how can somebody frequent your company? How can somebody use your consulting services? How can somebody buy or use your product if they don't know you exist? So grabbing someone's attention is very, very important in the business landscape today. How are you different from the other businesses that are similar? And if you're new, how are you unique and why do those things matter? So creating that why someone should listen to you. It's the reason why when I introduced myself, I didn't talk about just me, Donald, 47-year-old with 3 kids, right? I talked about me, Donald Thompson, and the companies I've touched that give credibility of why you should listen to me about media, about marketing, about the social landscape. So grabbing attention is critical. Are you honest with me and others? Can I trust you? Your personal brand, your business brand has to be such that people believe that you will do what you say you will do. And if by chance there's a mistake, you will work 100 miles an hour to fix that mistake. That trust and credibility has to come across in all of your marketing message, has to come across in how you live your life day to day and how your employees interact at every touch point with customers. And then the third thing that is very important in any type of marketing is, do you have the capability to solve my problem? You could have great marketing as a dentist. If I have a heart issue, right, it doesn't really matter how good you are as a dentist. Do you have the right capabilities to address the challenges in my life or in my business so that I can get the result that I need, right? Because at the end of the day, the client comes to you in whatever business you're involved in to fill a specific need. And so if you think about these 3 things, they apply to your business in general, kind of marketing principles, but then we'll talk about how they apply to how you think about social media and creating that authentic voice. There's a lot of different tools in the social media landscape. There's a lot of different ways that social media can be important. One of the things that I think all businesses, and I use all very carefully, is everyone needs to understand that social media as a technique, as a marketing perspective, is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. So whether you like it or not, whether you understand it or not, want to care about it or not, in order to grow a business of any size and scale, you have to make sure that you are proficient in the social media landscape. Because that's where people are gaining a high percentage of information. That's where people are changing hearts and minds and behaviors, right? If you think about this, and it doesn't matter where you stand politically, so I don't want to go into that, but if you think about the millions and millions of dollars that are being spent on social ads for elections, right? Then you understand the power of social media, because politics is about power, right? A lot of times people talk about politics and public servant and all that. The reality is politics is about power, and people that are gaining power are always looking for ways to influence those that are not in power. And if you think about it like that, there's a lot of political work going into social media, because it's about gaining and driving influence. You have to think in terms of how do you gain and drive influence if you want somebody to come to your car dealership versus somebody else's. If you're a lawyer, what is different about your law firm than someone else's? Social media is a great way for you to let people behind the curtain to know you and your team as individuals so that they understand that if you're sitting with them in their chiropractic's office, it's not just they're going to help you have a healthier back, but they're going to do so with care. They're going to do so in a cost-effective manner. You're going to get referred to the right place if they can't help you. And they as people are going to treat you, your time, your money in a very, very special and unique way. You can do that kind of messaging in a social landscape. Facebook, think about building communities and just think about doing it in a digital way. No, just hold on my calls, it's all good. But just think about doing it in a digital way. Facebook's easy, it's fun. Right? Most people that you know are leveraging Facebook, but my kids don't use it. Right? When I talk to my kids about Facebook, it always starts, ends, and in the middle with a laugh. Like literally, like my oldest daughter, Mariah, she's 23, and then I have 23, I have 21, 19, and then 17. And none of them use Facebook. But Facebook's a billion-dollar company, a multi-billion-dollar company, right? It has morphed from something that college kids thought was cool to now more middle-aged adults use Facebook. It doesn't mean it's less valuable, it's just less valuable to a certain demographic. So if you're selling a certain type of product that you're looking to hit 18 to 24 and you're on Facebook, not Instagram, you might as well not have a social strategy. Does that make sense? Doing nothing is the same result, right? Just do nothing, right? Don't get a consultant, just do nothing, right? If you're trying to attract very, very young people. If you think about Instagram, it's very, very visual. So Instagram is not something where you're trying to, even though they have a concept of Instagram stories and different things, you're not trying to sell on Instagram as much as you're trying to show on Instagram. You want to show yourself in an action orientation if you're in the automobile business. You want to show a picture of a couple buying that new car. You want to show that action. You want that visual so people can see that there is a happy client. There's a salesperson that really cared. They put them in a car that fit their budget. You want to show that in a visual way. Instagram is also something that you want to create a different level of repetition than you do in Facebook. Think about the people if you're on Facebook that post like every 20 minutes. I ate cereal. Now I'm thinking about what I'm having for lunch, and I'm not sure. I'm on an all vegan diet, but I really would like a hamburger. Like everything they're thinking, right? They put on Facebook, and you're just like, that's just too much. And then you hit that button called unfollow. Does that make sense? Right? Now, here's the thing about social media. It's actually not complicated. And I use that example to say, think about the basic things you want to do in social media, and the people that have built these technologies have them there. If you're hearing a message you don't like, you can block it. If you're hearing from a person you don't want to hear from anymore, you can unfollow them. You don't have to know exactly how. All of them have search menus. You just have to think about the thing you want to do, and then there's pretty much an easy way to do it. But back to Instagram and visual. So that means most people have mobile phones, right? Most of the mobile phones today take amazing pictures. I mean, if you think about, I'm looking around the room, I've got some Generation Z, I've got a couple millennials, but most of us got a little time in the saddle, I'll say. Right? There's more grown folks in here, but these phones different than 10, 20 years ago. Anybody remember the Motorola flip phone when that was a thing? Right? If you had the flip phone, you really believed you were better than someone that didn't. Does that make sense? I mean, you know what I mean? It just was it was cool like that, right? You had that flip phone. And then if you dial back, anybody have a bag phone? I had a bag phone, but my bag was leather, you know what I mean? And it had this antenna out of it, right? But if you think about all the evolutions of communication to where we are now with these telephones, they're amazing devices and they take tremendous pictures. Get used to taking good quality pictures of everything that you're doing in your business and personal life. Now watch this. Doesn't mean you have to post it all. I want to be real clear with the feedback and advice I'm giving you. I remember talking to a professional photographer, and I'm not a professional photographer. And I was at an event for my daughter, and his daughter was there also, but he had like multiple lenses. His camera looked different, cooler. The strap he had on it had like Nikon on the back, and like he was a professional and I was a dad taking pictures. Does that make sense? And I had a computer, and so I was like, I'm always in the way of asking for good information from knowledgeable people. That's just my MO as a business person, right? We'll talk social media, but as a business person. So I said, listen, I think his name was John. I said, John, do you have any tips for, a dad that's out here just taking pictures, for his dad and kids and all kinds of other stuff? What would I do to be a better photographer? He said, take a lot of pictures and only show people the good ones. I said, huh. So I'm instructing you guys to take a lot of pictures of your life, of your business, of what's going on, but only post the ones that matter. Give yourself more choices. When people see you on social, the quality of the image matters and the mini story that you want to tell matters. And everything is a mini story. And so you want to think about taglines, right? In social, you think about social media, but writing that little tagline, like if you think about all the email you get, does everybody get like a lot of ads and email and just different noise and different things like that, right? But here's what's really cool, and I'm in marketing. Every probably 10th email I will actually open if the tagline is good and is powerful to what I'm doing that day. And as a business owner, I may need more lead generation, XYZ, and maybe I'll see a tagline that says, winning in sales with 3 simple changes you can make today. Well, I would like to know 3 simple changes I can make today. And then I'll click on it, and sometimes it's trash. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, it's 87 things, buy this. Or sometimes it's literally 3 well-written tips on how to qualify a business, on how to manage yourself. Like, that would be good for me or my team, or it was good information. It was worth the 2 minutes I gave to that marketer to read that piece of information because it gave me something of quality. And when you give somebody something of quality on social, your currency goes up. When you give somebody something noisy in a social aspect, your credibility goes way down. It's really different. People's appetite for noise on social, you get penalized more than you get propelled. And that's something to really understand in terms of the way that the psyche is working on a social landscape. That's why on every platform, posting every 10 minutes is not necessarily the right thing, because you want the people that are following you to do 2 things. Give attention to what you're doing, read it, understand it, all that good stuff, but what you really want is for them to share or engage with you and your product. So I am a firm believer in higher quality first. Second thing, on my LinkedIn account, everybody in here have a LinkedIn account. Do you know what that means when I describe LinkedIn? Right? So LinkedIn, to me, is a more business landscape. It's not about politics. It's not about what your dog's doing. It's not about what your kid did at elementary school, right? It's not about some new food diet that you're on. It's about promoting your business, which is okay in a reasoned way on LinkedIn. It is about providing good feedback or tips to other people that are in similar businesses. It is a learning platform. It is a professional platform. And by and large, which is good, most people respect that about the platform. Of the thousands of people that I'm connected with on LinkedIn, it's probably about 4,000 now. So it's not 40,000 but it's about 4,000. Most people adhere to that, and it's pretty good. So the next thing that I'll tell you about social that's really important, we talked about phones and pictures. Video matters. So one of the things that, I'm 47 now, and so in 3 years I'll be 50. And knock on wood, and healthy, and working on staying in reasonable shape and all that good stuff. I want to move away from operating traditional businesses as the CEO and the manager and different things. I want to do more speaking like this. I want to do more consulting and different things like that. So there are times where I'll speak for fee, and there are times where I'll speak for free. But I know that in 3 years, if I've done 2 to 3 presentations a month for 3 years, and I've learned and I've become a better communicator, then when I'm 50 and want to transition that to something that I do as the next chapter in my career, I will have practiced. Does that make sense? I will have had repetition. I will have talked in front of crowds of 25, 30 people, 200 people, a couple thousand people. I've worked it out. Don't think you're going to get good at social media without practice. And you do need to get good at it personally. You can hire somebody to do it, and you can hire our company. But if you don't know the basics, you can waste a lot of money. If you don't know the basics, you can get taken advantage of. If you don't know the basics, you don't know the difference between good and excellent. So you got to play with it yourself, right? You got to really commit to the marketing paradigm and say, I need to learn these tools on my own. The best way is I could give you books and seminars and different things, but the best way is just to fool around with the tools. They really are built pretty good by and large. And the more you spend time with them, the more you read, the more you try to emulate content that you see that's good, the more proficient that you get. Now, you may decide as an entrepreneur at a certain point in your business, you want somebody to help handle that for you. And I've done that from time to time. But back to one of the keys. Photos are good, video is impactful. Video allows you in 10 seconds, 30 seconds, anything under a minute to tell a very, very personal story. And it's very important. And people will say, well, I'm not really good on camera. How do you know? Internet is not about the most polished presentation. We're talking about authenticity. So how do you know how good you are on camera? You're an expert in your field. What people want on YouTube, sometimes it's fun and enjoyment and laugh and funny videos and different things like that, and all that's good. But when people are searching for something, most of the searches are, how do I blank? Think about your search history. Think about you personally, and your clients and your associates aren't different. The majority of searches are, how do I blank? How do I save money on my wedding? How do I buy a car? How do I start a new business? How do I get rid of XYZ with home remedies or whatever, right? But most things are people seeking information specific to a challenge they have or an opportunity they want to take advantage of. How do I get a promotion? How do I ask for a raise? Think about that. So then that means if I see a video, I don't care if it's got the perfect lighting. I don't care if it's overproduced. If that individual is credible and gives me information I can use, I'm going to watch that video on the internet. And that's the power of what we can all do socially. So I don't want you to be afraid that you don't have the perfect presentation. The biggest thing on social is don't make it longer than it needs to be. And that's both in the written form or the video form. The biggest advice I give to people that are just starting out is don't make a minute video, because the algorithms on YouTube, for example, now benefit long form video. So it would be good to go longer on YouTube. You get penalized for it on Facebook and Instagram. If all of your videos are the same length, you're not playing the same social game that I'm playing. And so you have to understand what each one of the platforms values. Twitter, by 140 characters, you can just think in your mind. Everything about the internet really is common sense. Now, when we're talking to clients and different things, there's some complexity to it. There's ways you can buy ads and all of this different stuff. But most things are really common sense. Twitter as a platform limits the number of characters you can put, 140 characters, right? Everybody's good with that. That means Twitter values short, concise, high impact. I don't use Twitter that much for business or things that I'm looking for. Twitter to me is more of a mean space. Twitter is where people are internet tough. They just say all kinds of stuff and with no repercussions. It's like really, really noisy. Doesn't mean Twitter's bad. You may fall in love with it. I don't like Twitter as a platform. I have more of a negative connotation of the conversations on Twitter. It's just more aggressive. It's just more, in your face all the time. That may be your personality, your style, go for it. For the businesses I run and my personality, I'm not a big Twitter fan, but Twitter is very powerful as a platform. Twitter, to me, my opinion, is good for awareness. It's good for your personal views on whatever it may be. But converting clients on Twitter is really expensive, really hard for the novice. If you're going after audiences and you need to target audiences, Facebook is great. Anybody understand the term look-alike audience? Let me explain it to you, and it's really simple, but it's a cool social term, okay? Let me think about a business that would just make sense. Let's just say I'm a plumber, right? Let's just use that as an example. I'm a plumber. Now, if I'm a plumber, I'm not really interested in people that live in an apartment. Why is that?
Because
They got a maintenance person. Does that make sense? So I'm not interested in targeting people that live in apartments. I'm looking for homeowners, right? Because I'm a plumber. Now, also as a plumber, I know that people that live in smaller homes typically, now those people are but typically, have less budget than people that live in larger homes. So I want my ads as a plumber on Facebook to target anybody that owns a home, but I sure want to know the zip codes in my area that have the wealthiest citizens in any town I'm in, so that my ads are then going to that zip code, because I do know the moment there's a plumbing problem, if somebody's got higher income, they're going to fix that problem faster. And I'm more likely to get a higher fee, more likely to get that person to call quicker, more likely for a phone call to convert to a client. I know if somebody is more cash constrained, they're going to call their brother, they're going to try to do it themselves, they're going to try to get me to come out and advise them. There's just a lot of different things socioeconomically. It doesn't make people bad or good, but I'm in business. I'm not trying to make friends, I'm trying to get paid. Does that make sense? So then I want to target my ads as a plumber based on the clients that I want. Now, back to lookalike audiences. Once you identify an audience in Facebook that you're building Facebook ads for, you can go into Facebook and Facebook will automatically create an audience that looks like the profile that you want. That's the lookalike audience. It's not complicated, it's not super hard, and then you can buy ads that target a bigger reach of people that fit the profile for your client. That's the way you can program your social media spending for better success. Right? And again, it's pretty simple, and there's plenty of ways that you can go on YouTube and they can talk to you about it. It's just not that hard once you know what to ask for and what to look for in that platform. So Facebook is very, very good for that. The thing about Instagram is good if you're selling something for instantaneous purchases. Instagram is great if you want to have something that is a buy now button. Let's say you make your own jewelry. Let's say you're a clothier. Let's say that you are a masseuse and you're having a special on massages. Let's say that you're a mechanic and you're doing 30% off on oil changes or whatever. And now all of a sudden you have that experience on Instagram and there's a button, you can create digital coupons to where somebody can take advantage of those offers real time, which again is very, very powerful in how you market. And once you build these ads, once you build these messages one time, here's the beautiful thing about social. And I have on my wall in my office, because we have a lot of really, really smart people, a lot of great marketers, a lot of digital data science folks, like just really, really smart people. And smart people like to debate stuff, right? Like, I'm right, it's my idea, this is what we should do. And sometimes it just gets to be too much for me. And so I have on my wall, don't debate what we can test. The beautiful thing about social media is you can try things, and if they work, keep doing them. And if they don't work, stop it. and you can test it, and you can do it at a low cost. One of the things that business owners sleep on is you'll have your own personal website, but your website doesn't tell your personal story. There's a difference in that. You may have your own personal website, but your website doesn't tell your personal story. I was with a potential partner that could be a six-figure, maybe even $1 million partnership with my firm. Another business owner that we may want to do some partnering with. And I asked him, and I said, why did you pick us to have this deeper conversation with? And he said, well, Don, there's a lot of marketing consultancies and agencies in RTP area and in North Carolina. I was very impressed that you guys were on the Inc. 5000, one of the fast growing agencies in North Carolina. I was very impressed with the work that you did on some of your clients. He said, but I got to tell you, I went to your personal website and I read your journey, and it felt like you were a real individual. It felt like you didn't just make money to make money. I liked your give backs. I like to be in business with people that I feel like I can relate to and that have a cause or a calling that's bigger than self. On my personal website, if you go to donaldthompson.com, it talks to you about me and my journey. It talks to you about me being the manager of Dollar General store. It talks about me being a security guard. It talks about me and the dumb dead-end things that I did until I found some things that worked. And I tell that story. It talked about the fact that I don't have all the answers. I'm really, really good at finding them. And it just showed that this individual, in researching me for a potential partnership, connected with that. And that was very, very important. The reason I mention that right now is not to talk about me. You have a personal story. It should be told in a digital medium. You have things about you that are interesting, that are compelling, things that you've overcome, things that you've learned. You got to tell that story. It's not just the tools, it's what story do you put into those tools? Why are you in business? What are some of the give backs that you do personally? What are some of the things that are passionate about you and your business that makes it more fun to work at your company? What are some of the causes that you celebrate and work towards? And you got to tell that story, because here's the thing. In this world of noise and garbage on TV, people are looking for authenticity, people they can trust, that they enjoy being with, that they can be proud to be associated with. And you will stand out more and more from the crowd in doing that.